Here we are asked to solve for the given variables. So, in the first question we have g divided by 5 plus 70.3 equals 73.3, and we have to find out the value of the variable g. So what that means is in the end we'll be left with g equals a value. So how do we go about that? So let's start by doing the reverse of BEDMAS. Essentially is we go and cancel out the addition. We'll get to the division later, but first of all, first step, let's get rid of the addition here. So we do that by doing the inverse, or doing the opposite, and so that's minus 70.3, so minus 70.3 on both sides. And we do that to keep the whole equation balanced. So on the left-hand side of the equation, positive 70.3 minus 70.3, that cancels out. And what's left on the left-hand side is g divided by 5. And on the right-hand side of the equation, well, 73.3 minus 70.3 leaves us with 3. Next, we have g divided by 5. So we want to cancel the division part. So again, we use the reciprocal, or the inverse, of dividing by 5. And how do we do that? Well, we multiply by 5. And we do the same on both sides again. So now we have divided by 5, multiplied by 5, so that cancels. And what's left is the variable g, so that comes down to the next line of working, which is what we want. G is now all by itself. And on the right-hand side, 3 times 5 is 15. So g equals 15 should be the answer. Now we can check, and we substitute what we think the value of g is into the original equation. So it's not g divided by 5, let's go with 15 divided by 5. So 15 divided by 5 is 3, plus 70.3 would be 73.3, equals 73, well, that's the same. So these are the same. This must be correct. Similar process for this particular problem. W divided by 5 minus 19 is going to equal 31.14. So let's have a look. Again, it's the old BEDMAS in reverse, if you like, for these kinds of problems. So we're going to cancel out the minus 19. And we cancel out the minus 19 by doing the inverse. And so that is adding 19. And because it's an equation, we do the same on both sides to keep the whole equation balanced. So we add 19 on that side as well. Minus 19 plus 19 cancels out. And what's left on the left-hand side is W divided by 5. And on the right-hand side, we have 4, 1 point, and that's 50. What do we do now? Now we have to cancel out the dividing by 5. And how do we cancel dividing by 5? We do the opposite, or the inverse, and we multiply by 5. So let's multiply by 5 on both sides. So now this cancels out. Divided by 5, multiplied by 5 cancels, and we are now left with W. So the variable is on one side all by itself, which is exactly what we want. And now we are left with 50.14 times 5. And so these are the moments we use our calculator. So let's go for that, right? So it's going to be 50.14 multiplied by 5. What's the answer? There we go. 250.7. So 250.7. So that should be the value of W, but let's substitute this answer into the equation and see if that's correct. So instead of W, we'll say 250.7. So let's use our calculator again. And 250.7 divided by 5 equals minus 19, so that's minus 19, equals, now when I push the equals button, the answer should be 31.14. So let's push that equals button, 31, right, so it is the same, and so this must be correct.